I'm filming this because I think it would be interesting if I really point out what I'm talking about when I talk about this song here. Yeah, basically I'm going to just quickly mention how I see this synesthetically. I've made a lot of allusions on my blog about how it sort of makes me think of very fun personalities and very crazy things, zany, and I tend to talk about a lot about this organ, which is basically a very fast, high-sounding keyboard that's played in the song. But basically, what I'm talking about is I've made a lot of allusions to the fact that it does make me think of somebody. I'm not gonna say who, because I think it's a bit personal. What I'm going to point out is exactly what I'm talking about when I refer to those two keyboard notes. I've got several versions of the song here on my computer. The best way for me to describe it is to slow the song itself down, as well as point out point out some other stuff that I sort of see the same thing in. First, I must point out that the song itself was a B-side of their single "Cardiac Arrest." It was performed by Madness, and there was originally a theme or a jingle to a commercial for Honda City cars in 1981. Now, what I've done here is taken one of the versions I have, cut out the part that deals with what I'm talking about, and made it a lot slower so it's easier to hear. Now, that sort of high-pitched keyboard there, you can really hear. That part that comes up, that's basically what I've been referring to the whole time. There's a separate piano in there that's a regular piano that is offbeat. And so what I've done is slowing down the first 17 seconds, well, not the first 17 seconds, but after about 17 seconds, which I've called reference to many times, it's what happens. So, you know, there's that organ, and then, but the thing is, the organ is throughout the song, and it's very random, and it's not always easy to hear, which is why I slowed it down. The only time it's easy to hear is when it's prevalent, and then it comes up, and it does that thing in the chorus, sort of, if that can be called a chorus. I don't think the song really has a chorus. So you see that high-pitched? Now those two notes right there, the low note and the very high note, these two, just those two notes, the low and the high, right as the guitar sort of keys in, it's basically what I've been talking about the entire past, I don't know, 6 months. Whenever I mention In the City on my blog or I talk about it, I'm always talking about those two notes, the one's really high and one's really low. And they coincide they coincide exactly when the guitar is strummed here in slow motion. And that's basically what I've always been talking about. Now there's another one. They do that again, and then it goes really high all of a sudden, like it's sort of random. Like there's this, it's all low, and then it goes up, right there. As I may have mentioned this once or twice, but that one also makes me think of somebody else as well. Again, I won't say who, but it's those very small little hits there that I've made reference and allusion to for a long time because they have such an effect on me. Particularly if you slow it down, but also do the pitch if it's really low. So it's what it does is it tends to make the colors darker. So. And as the colors get darker, the people I tend to think about tend to get older. I don't know why, it just makes me think, you know, all of a sudden they're a lot older. But yeah, There are different versions here, like for instance this one where I've removed the bass and a few other things so you can hear things, some things differently. Now that I've picked out the notes, it might be easier to tell what I'm talking about when I play that. It's really quick, but it's not always easy to hear it anymore. I used to get a huge rise out of it because it was so fun, and so just those two notes, the low and the high, it sort of gives me the idea that you know, there's two it sort of produces two blobs, and they're sort of a whitish bluish, very watery, and I think something that can be helped here is the fact that the person that I tend to think about, that it reminds me of, I shouldn't say think about, it reminds me of, it makes me think of really quickly and very briefly, makes me think of the person it does. Their voice tends to give me the same sort of bluish, whitish color, just because of the sound of it, I guess. The guitar itself actually tends to make me think of the color green, and it makes me think of a friend I used to have. And when I hear those two notes, like I've said before, it gives off a huge effect of suddenly something's very interesting. You know, it goes up like that, so it's very interesting. So it and it matches, gives me the idea that it's a very brilliant, very wacky, very zany, fun personality. It's because it's so random, it's so quick, you know, and that's what I like about it. And so it makes me think of that person in the same way, because I think they have the same kind of personality, not exactly the same, but very close. And what used to happen is they used to sort of smile in my head, like that. Those notes would occur, they would match, it would be perfect, it would correspond to it. And then I'd sort of visualize this person sort of smiling, not at me, but smiling sort of just past me or something. One other place I do see the same kind of personality or person, this has a lot more to do with feeling, because it's more emotional to me, is the Phil Collins song Another Day in Paradise, or the keyboard, again it's a keyboard, makes me think of her as well as the bass me. And it's because of the way the bass sort of slides up the neck in the beginning and then comes down, particularly the note after it comes down. That keyboard, and the bass comes up. Right there, the note after and the keyboard right after, do-do-do, right there. That particularly right there inspires a lot of gentle, very loving sort of feeling, not toward the person necessarily, but you know, just of the whole sound, and as well as myself. Not to sound narcissistic or anything, it just makes me see things in a very gentle, emotional, sort of sensitive way. There's a lot of emotion there. It makes me think that the bass right there at that note, it's like as if it were me, and it's something that's very devoted, or something that's very just devoted to the one that they love, or something. You know, something that and you know, that's how I read emotion into it. It's like the keyboard is a bit reflective and also very affectionate, as well as the bass is. And the bass has undying devotion to the one he or me loves, as the keyboard is responding to that. And so it's something I've been very happy to play around with, because I can get such a rise out of it. That and In the City. Or even if I do this, slow it down. Makes me think that I'm about 36 years old, and the person that I think of is 35. So that's basically what I wanted to clarify.